black vintage Buick owned by the Vega family. It is the position of the prosecution that both circumstantial and direct evidence prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Adrian Vega was the person who struck down Cameron Douglas and left her injured in the street and fled back to the Vega family home. Let us first examine the circumstantial evidence. We know that Adrian Vega is the only person allowed to drive the Buick. Now we've heard how Adrian is such a responsible person, a person who wants to be a safe driver and obedient to her parents, a person who has told that no one else is to drive the car, and yet she testifies that despite being told by her parents that no one else is to drive the car, despite claiming that she is a good, responsible child, she claims that someone else was driving when Cameron Douglas was struck down and left in the street. And why was someone else driving? Why did Adrian disobey her parents? Why did this happen? Well, according to Adrian, it's because she was too excited to drive. And why was Adrian so excited that she could not drive? It's because she had won a swim meet. Can you imagine anything more absurd? Adrian is a champion swimmer. She expects a scholarship to a major university because of her swimming accomplishments. Adrian wants to swim in the Olympics, and yet Adrian wins a swimming contest, and this is supposedly so exciting? Adrian has lost the ability to drive. Another incriminating piece of circumstantial evidence is the cell phone issue. According to eyewitness testimony, the driver of the car was illuminated by the glow of a cell phone when the car struck Cameron Douglas. When the police went to the Vega home and saw the Buick that still had a warm hood from being recently driven, there was a cell phone on the console next to the driver's seat. The cell phone belonged to Adrian Vega. Also, shortly after the swim meet and before the accident, the swim coach gave Adrian Vega a cardinal and gold hat. The witness to the accident said the driver was wearing a cardinal and gold hat. When Officer Wright saw Adrian Vega shortly after Cameron Douglas was gunned down, Adrian Vega was wearing a cardinal and gold hat. And let's not forget, Your Honor, the witness said the driver was wearing a white shirt, the same color that Adrian Vega was wearing. And Tony DeLuca was wearing a blue shirt. And when Officer Wright confronted Adrian Vega, when she told her about what the officer knew, Adrian's reaction was, "It was a cyclist. I'm so sorry. I could never forgive myself." Your Honor, this statement is an admission, a realization of guilt, not the response of an innocent person. Your Honor, this circumstantial evidence coupled with Adrian's admission would alone be enough to convict Adrian. But we have more. We have direct evidence as to Adrian's guilt. The person in the car of Adrian that night, the person who was closest to her when she ran down Douglas, was Tony DeLuca, who is Adrian's friend, and who lived at the Vega home. DeLuca, under oath, stated the truth, and the truth is that Adrian Vega is the person who ran down Cameron Douglas. Now, the defense, in the difficult situation, may grasp at straws and try to blame DeLuca. However, DeLuca is not the only person to identify Adrian as the driver at the time Douglas was hit. We know DeLuca was the person closest to Adrian when she hit Douglas. We also know that the second closest person was Cameron Douglas, who was no more than a few feet from the driver of the Buick. And who did Douglas identify? Who did Douglas say the driver hit him and left him lying damaged in the street? Douglas said under oath the driver was Adrian Vega. Your Honor, I don't know what else the prosecution can do. We have produced convincing circumstantial and direct evidence. We have shown the court how Adrian reacted with an admission when she was confronted by Officer Wright, and we produced two eyewitnesses, both of whom pointed out under oath that Adrian Vega was driving the car that struck down Cameron Douglas. Your Honor, it is not our obligation to explain why people do what they do. It is not our burden to produce a motive. However, in this case, we feel the actions of an otherwise law-abiding person may leave a question as to why Adrian left the scene. The simple answer is Adrian knew she was wrong to be on the cell phone while driving, and especially wrong when Cameron Douglas was struck and injured. In situations like this, a decision is made in a split second, and it is often the wrong one. Adrian knew the anger her parents would feel, knew that the law would be involved, and perhaps most importantly, her years of training, her years of dreams of scholarships, and even Olympic glory were gone. We are not saying Adrian is a bad person, but we are saying Adrian did a bad thing. The physical evidence proves it, the testimony under oath of our witnesses have proven it, and Adrian's own statement has proven that she is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And we ask this court to return a verdict of guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.